I'm the only one that dances along to the theme song.
No, oh my God, I was just gonna say, I was legit rocking out today to the theme song for this show in the background.
I mean, how can you not rock out to the theme song in the bathroom?
I have a question about
Background.
Well, what is the lieutenant governor, now governor, eating in that intro?
I'm glad you asked that question, Mike. He is eating a grinder from Reels.
Nice.
And somewhere in my office, I actually have the order of what he actually had that particular day. I'd say what it is, but I don't want to screw it up. But he came down here for a arts thing back in 2019, before actually COVID hit. And before we went out into public together, we went across the street and had grinders together. So that, I captured that shot before he, of course, was the governor. And so my goal now is to make sure with all of the future governors of Rhode Island, I have a grinder with them for our show opening. So
is that what you call all the different events at the Chorus Hall, an arts thing?
Arts thing. These days, arts thing is the absolute right way to go with it, right? Like if it actually happens, it is a arts thing. Hey, fair. Speaking of arts thing, welcome to the Community Chorus Show's special edition. This is our first episode of spring-ish, and this is a very special edition because this is, I was about to say, the first show broadcast live from the George Kent Performance Hall, but it's usually broadcast partially live because Andrew is in his office. But now there's 2/5 of us here in the George Kent Performance Hall, and I am in the rehearsal room right now. Sitting here in Kent Hall, back in action as we start to ramp things up here. And for those of you who've been to the Kent Hall before, I want to show you something. We had a little tour here. Our facility manager, Harvey, has been working hard. And if you can see, we have a brand new floor.
Beautiful.
Oh. Well done, Harvey. Yeah, look at that, huh? It's and we're going to leave it like this apparently for a while. But we have a brand new floor here. We got a brand new roof. We got a brand new paint job. Our HVAC works. So
ready to go.
We'll be ready to go. But we'd first like to thank for this arts thing, the Rhode Island State Council on the Arts for all of their support of the Chorus of Westry and the fantastic Randy Rosenbaum and Todd Trebor and Molly Flanagan and all of the great people that are up there that are helping us out. That's only 3 of the entire staff. So 1 week we'll have to read through the whole list so I don't forget anybody. Thank you to our friends at the Rhode Island State Council on the Arts, our friends at Rhode Island Commerce, who helped us with all of this stuff, all of our arts things back in December and January. And of course, a big thank you to the Blue Mitten Thrift Shop on Main Street, the shop that helps Westerly sing. They're also next to Midway Pizza. You can get some good grinders over there too. So you can go down and you can go to the Dick's World of Wines, or you go to Easy. You can get some Gray Sale. That's a great sponsor of the chorus. And I will remember to silence my phone. Okay, here we go.
Are these all paid sponsorships that we've got now?
No, this is just because we want everyone to know that we also are we've made the decision to, we can't have Summer Pops in June, so we're going to just put things in motion to try. The big keyword on this is try, to have Summer Pops in September. There's a lot of hoops to go through and a lot of obstacles in the way. But if anyone would like to talk about helping to sponsor or support Pops, be it next, which will be the 40th one, whether it happens in September or it happens in June. Look, I'm even wearing a Summer Pop shirt today. So we're advertising. All of these folks have been fine sponsors for chorus events in the past. So yeah, there's some. Andrew's wearing it too. In fact, we have an unlimited. Michael is wearing a West Vaughn.
I didn't know.
That is absolutely amazing. Anyway, so today we don't have any guests outside of ourselves. We thought the midway point through our season here, because Andrew, this is our season these days. It would be a good chance for us to touch base with our co-hosts who've been doing this all throughout the year with us, which we thank all four of you for all the time you put on this, but also in particular to spend some time today with our friend right below me here, Andrew Lidestri, and learn a little bit about his arts career right now, because he's doing some fabulous stuff up in New Hampshire with an organization called the UpStage Players. And I believe, Andrew, the website is upstageplayersnh.org. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep, that's who we are.
So at any point in time during this, if you want to learn a little bit more about the UpStage Players or how to contribute to them or what they're doing, you can go there and check it out. But before we go and talk to Andrew a little bit about how things are happening with him, just want to check in with you, Michael. How are things with your family? Welcome to spring. How is everyone doing today?
Good. Yeah, we're having a nice sunny day. Had some dinner outside, al fresco, this evening, and
Wow.
just want tonight's show to be entertaining.
That's right. That's right. Is the Wednesday in Lent? Does it have a day? Thursday's Monday, Thursday, or Holy Thursday, or whatever you want to call it. Good Friday's Good Friday. Saturdays, you get Holy Saturday.
I think it's just Holy Wednesday. I think it's just Holy Wednesday.
Holy Wednesday. It's not like Wacky Wednesday.
I think it's Wacky Wednesday. The shoes
It
on
is
the
now.
wall. All sorts of
You kind of just feel like there should be like it feels like it needs another day. But anyway,
Does anyone want to point out that today's Tuesday though?
Well, it's Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on when you're at. It could be Easter morning that you're walking. I don't know what day it is. It's the end of March. It's almost. There was a Simpsons episode where they go have a school committee meeting because they printed calendars wrong and they called it Smarch or something like that. So all month, my wife and I actually often say, "Oh, Smarch."
Love it.
It's a classic episode. So, Michael, I'm glad you're doing well. Amy, how are you doing today? How are the fine things at Charahoe High School?
Oh, they are great. We are just churning through the springtime. We're it's in fact the first stink bug made its appearance today. That's just one of the signs of spring we have at Charahoe is these stink bugs, but not too bad.
It's nice that they come out. Do they have little masks on, though? They're coming out of hibernation with little masks on.
They won't wear their masks, and it's a huge problem. We're going to have to speak to them. We're going to do like a mediation with them.
There's a COVID control plan for stink bugs these days. It's really tiny and it smells awful, but it's there. So
I don't think I could sew a mask that small, but I would be willing to try that challenge, just for the fun of it.
Go ahead, we'll wait.
Have people? Do you think? I haven't seen this a thing. Have pets had masks at all? Has anyone seen it's a pet, like a dog? Like people put dogs in their bags.
I'm sure that's a thing somewhere, but I have not seen it.
You never know. I just don't know. Anyway, well, Amy, it's great to see you. Andrew, always great to see you. I just saw you down the hall. If you play your cards right, Genevieve's here in the building, and so is Pam. So maybe they'll walk in. Maybe we'll have guest stars or something. I put just in case. I know she can hear me right now. Just in case she wants to come back out, there is an extra chair socially distanced away from me right now. So, I'd be happy to leave and let her take over. She wants to come out there because you never know when it's Pam's birthday. Right, Pam? Yep. Got a yep from the background there. All right. Woo! That's how you know we're at the hall. Okay, well, let's keep moving along here, and let's get to you, Mr. Andrew Uncle Bongo Lidestri. So the four of us, I think there's four of us. Yeah, I'm seeing four of us. We know a heck of a lot about you. We know that your roots are here with us in Westerly, that you're a graduate of Westerly High School, and you starred in 8,000 plays while you were here with Mr. DeAngelis back in the day. And you were kind of a legend, both in your own mind, as Bob Anthony would say, and to all of us. And then you had a very prolific career in the arts, if you will, at the University of Rhode Island, of which we all, again, enjoyed many shows. I once came to one of your shows, and then we went out afterwards, and I drove back to Wheaton at about 3 o'clock in the morning. Everything was fine with my then girlfriend, who's now my wife, and my car. I had this 1985 Chevy Cavalier wagon named Daisy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and which was originally Emily Hayward's, if anyone knows Emily Hayward. And wow. Daisy died on Route 4 at about 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was pretty panicked. I didn't know what to do. No one's around. And then we gave Daisy a push, and I said a little prayer, and Daisy resurrected and got us back to Wheaton. So
there's free cell phone, right? There's no cell phone at the time.
Were you in Assassins? I feel like that was the play.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're up to these days and a little bit about the UpStage players and how things are going?
Sure. It's funny actually to hear you talk about all the restaurants and things that have been sponsors of Summer Pops at the start of this. I realized that I am the one, I mean, Michael too, but I'm the one who I think probably spends the least amount of time these days down in Rhode Island. And I can't believe how many of those things I miss so specifically when you say them. Like I want to go like on a food tour where I want to come home for a week and there's something very specific I want at D'Angelo's and Midway and Rio's. And like, I have all these stops that I want to make. We'll have a great time. Yeah. And we'll sit and sing and have when we can do that, that'll be amazing. But yeah, no, I am up in Littleton, New Hampshire now, where I live, which is near Lyman, New Hampshire, where Ogons is, that so many of us know and love and grew up at in totally different ways and spent years and years there. And I run the UpStage Players here, which is our local community theater. And I was super lucky after school. I went to Los Angeles for years. I went to New York City for years. And I did some theater work in both of those places. And I, having spent all the time that I did in school, either in school and doing things in school or at Ogons and doing things at Ogons, I sort of missed like the community theater bump of things. And so when I settled in Littleton and was looking for a theatrical project, I found this awesome community theater that was in existence since 1978, which was the year that at least two of us on the screen were born. And they had been sort of shuffling along for years and years, doing a play here or there, and were ready for something else. And I came in and said, hey, what if we do something else? And I've been working with them ever since. And we have created this awesome group of people here of all ages, from like 5 to 80, that get together and put on what I hope people think are some awesome artistic ventures here for this community. And we've been having a great time doing it. It's been a roller coaster for the last few years, for sure. We've grown this awesome organization from like 7 people that used to get together in someone's living room and figure out what play they might like to be in and what sort of fun thing there was to do, and into something where almost 50 of us now get together to plan shows, and sometimes almost 100 of us get together to make those shows happen. So it's an awesome group. And we perform right now at the Littleton Opera House in Littleton, which is right on the water. And it's really, really a beautiful downtown area. So, for years and years, those of us who have been involved with Ogons, going to choir camp there, or to the choral workshops that the chorus has sponsored and made happen there, I feel like there was so little time that we ever got to explore the surrounding area. And, I've 30 years of experience at Ogons, and it wasn't until like 6 or 7 years ago that I feel like I really understood anything other than like the occasional trip to Chudder's in town where everybody goes to get candy. And it's this really wonderful small town that's having its renaissance, well, pre-COVID, is having its renaissance the same way that I feel like Westerly did a handful of years ago now, when people finally realized that if downtown Westerly was going to rejuvenate, someone had to move in and start selling alcohol. Because I feel in the end, isn't that what rejuvenates a small town? I feel like that's the formula that people have figured out around the country. And I think
we helped rejuvenate it then, yes.
Oh, absolutely. And it rejuvenated us. Let's say it that way.
Rejuvenation.
But it brings in a younger crowd, and a younger crowd means that history, the history will proceed and hopefully succeed and create a future. And so Schilling's built this giant $4 million brewery on the water here at what used to be the old grist mill in downtown. And there's little pubs that have popped up everywhere. And so this awesome, so Littleton in New Hampshire now has the youngest mean age across the board of all of New Hampshire, and is growing that way.
That's amazing.
It's like insane. Like it's so we're an hour from Canada, and we're up in the mountains, and it's this great tourist location because it's like great for leaf peeper season, and so it's really touristy in the summer, which I wouldn't have expected. I would have thought it was like just ski season area, which it is as well. But it's this great little town. And so there's this piece to me, I feel like with the chorus and growing up with Bunky, that I think that one of the things he really instilled in me is this idea that excellence in the arts is really the only way to proceed with the things that you're doing. I think all of us really appreciated that as kids in a way that I think if people met us from outside of what we do, they wouldn't know why kids that were 9, 10, and 11 were talking about Bach and Beethoven and Brahms in the way that we were. And, you know, and so I don't like to do things unless I think that there is something that is fantastic and unique about them. And that has been a real success for us here. And so we've grown sort of out of our britches super fast. And the exciting thing, so this pandemic happens, right? And we're this little theater up here in the middle of nowhere and trying to figure out what we do next. And I have spent this time working so diligently, you know, in the same way I think you guys and the chorus has worked so hard to find a way in the midst of this to do things that reach everybody and talk to people. And, you know, this has been fantastic for us to all get together and be able to reminisce and talk and forward the arts in the way that we do here. So for us up at UpStage, we have spent the time planning for the future. So we've been working on a couple of big projects, one of which is we've been meeting with architects and working towards building our own performance hall, which, knowing that everything that the chorus had to go through to obtain their own home and then to make that home survive sits with me every single day that I work on this project. And it makes it terrifying and exciting and terrifying because, you know, you want to go in and plan it right so that what you hope for is the success that will outlive you and become something that can flourish. So right now we're planning like a 20,000 square foot gigantic performance venue that has 2 theaters in it and potentially a full bar that works like independently of the building so that
let's take away the potentially, you know, like let's just say,
all right, it's gonna have a bar.
There you go.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to think about revenue streams, right? And what's gonna like support the things you're trying to do.
Formula.
So yeah, so the formula works in that way, so that if it could run as an independent thing, and we could bring some of the young folks in and increase the nightlife in the area, that we're hoping to have several main stage shows a year and youth shows and hopefully professional shows eventually, when we're not having karaoke nights and dance nights and band nights related to the bar and the secondary performance space. So, and we're looking at a couple awesome places right in town, right in downtown. And so we hope to break ground in a year. So this quiet time for us has been anything but quiet for me. But that's been fantastic, you know, and I went a couple weeks ago to a conference for specifically for executive directors and artistic directors in community theater. And I was amazed how many of us said that, you know, this time, and Ryan, you and I have said this, Andrew, too, that this time in the arts in a lot of ways has felt almost as busy, if not busier, partially because we're outside of our norm in creating new things. And therefore that takes more time and energy and effort in different ways. But, you know, we're also trying to be really cognizant of the fact that so many people still love and support us and are supporting us both financially or just in being with us through these platforms and through this everything. And we want to be able to deliver for them, you know, from the course perspective, from our theater perspective, you know, so we don't want to let them down. And I think we've been spending a lot of time doing that. The other thing we're doing right now, which I'm super excited about and came out of nowhere. So we thought for the longest time, I was like, I'm not going to do the Zoom platform. There's professional theaters in New York. They're doing online classes and that sort of everything. And it didn't make sense to compete with that. It wasn't our platform. It wasn't our thing. And then as we got closer to now, we got a great grant from the James Trust Foundation to allow us to offer a couple of educational classes. And we're doing a musical theater class and a playwriting class. And I'm teaching 3 sections of a monologue class right now. And when we went to do that, we sell our tickets on an online service, and that online service goes out worldwide. And I put a whole bunch of search terms in for people who might be looking for theater classes. And so I teach 2 classes on Wednesday and 1 on Thursday, and I'm teaching on 4 continents on a weekly basis right now. Because I've got students in Australia, I have students in Greece, I have students in Peru, and I have a student in Nairobi. And then some like Americans.
That's amazing.
right? It's just,
it is kind of that's an amazing that is amazing, but it is also the way you say, you hadn't thought about or hadn't done that before. So like when the chorus started to release, when we did the 12th Night Festival or release the Christmas Pops albums, even this show, I don't know who in Australia loves this show, but somebody keeps watching it. The internet, for a long time, we never really thought too much about. I mean, I don't know about you, but like the chorus, we always talked about the regional reach, the national reach, but the strategy of how to do that seemed daunting. And now it's almost been like, well, we're forced to put it out there, and you never know who's going to find their way to you. Right. And they have access to it now that they never had before.
And it's this really interesting thing where it's in some ways it's sort of a niche thing, like I think some people signed up thinking that there's so many webinars and things you can do during this right now. And because things are online, things are free. And I think a lot of people sort of sign up for things and then maybe there's drop off and they don't actually show up because it was free and my schedule got busy. And, but we're really lucky where we're offering something which would normally be a class that would cost hundreds of dollars and be sort of like a workshop or a master class. It goes for 8-week sessions, to make that piece happen. And so it's a significant thing. And for people to be able to participate sort of near and far. And I was worried about the model because the monologue class actually is teen through adult, and which can be touchy because when you're dealing with monologues and you want to be able to work with teens and you want to get them energized about theater, you often deal with things that are pressing issues to them. And as you're growing up and we come into our teen years, those can be more adult topics. And so to mix that group of people was going to be really challenging. And what ended up being more interesting about the challenge is that I'm teaching theater professionals around the country and around the world, actually, considering our Australian and our Greek friends that are working with us. But also I'm teaching students that are 13 and 14 in the same class. So when we broke it out into 3 different sections, I tried to mix them up so that I had people of all ages and all experience levels in them, and they all learn from each other, which is really great. So this tomorrow is the second week session for 2 of them, and then Thursday, those guys are 4 weeks in. And so it's been interesting already to watch some of these people develop and learn and teach each other as they watch each other work.
Well, that's, the other thing too about that, when you're talking, I was thinking about them working together and coming together because it was free and blah, 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 is that a positive side effect of this, where we are right now on the arts has been it has forced innovation on us again. It has forced us to say, you can't do when you were talking before about we're busier than we've ever been. I think that is absolutely true. It's hard to quantify that because we used to do that by how many tickets did you sell, how many butts are in the seats,
right? What
is your donation level? We kind of drifted away, I think, as an entire sector, at least on the nonprofit side of things, from engagement. We always talked about it, but because we were so obsessed, and rightfully so, is survival, right? With the bottom line of how many people were there, even when you get to the point about quality, it became a little bit secondary. And I'm guilty of it just as much as anyone else, just to survive. But now, Force and Box, so it almost like made us fire up our brains again to think about how can we connect with people. And then when it starts to get back to normal, what do we take from what we've learned to kind of make the whole stronger again? So it's fascinating to hear you talk about that. Is the other thing I thought about, you talked about the grant that you got, is that especially with the chorus, when we got to do some of the things that we've been able to do, it's because of granting programs, both private and government directed, which in a weird way too, it's been relief grants to keep us going and help us rebuild. But there has been a definite investment in the cultural economy again. And and I think what's amazing too is arts organizations are creating a tremendous amount of product. Like you're getting a good bang for your buck, from all of this. Yeah. So kudos to you for doing all of that. That's just really, really spectacular.
Thanks. No, it's been great. And I think you're right. The political landscape is insane and nuts and so difficult for any of us to approach these days. But so it's great to be able to be working in an arts organization, in a cultural organization, and realize that while will always be more work to be done and we'll always need to lobby for support from people in general, the amount of people that have come out to make sure that our organizations survive through what this is and thrive through what this is, and so we're starting to work at this idea of what is it like to roar back after this, not just to say we're here and it's important and we believe that the things that we're doing are culturally necessary. But to thank everybody for sticking with us and understanding, and I think that's the same across the board in any piece of the arts that we work in, to make sure that those things are nurtured in that way, and that we respect on both sides of things the amount of time and energy that we put in to make this possible, but then the support from everybody, because otherwise we couldn't do, or there'd be no need to do what we do. And so I'm so excited for the times where we'll be able to get together in a room again, because I don't want to let that be a quiet thing. I want to make sure that in person I can say to those people, thank you so much for making us a part of your home when we couldn't get together in person. Thank you so much for seeing that financially we could make it this far. I think that those things are so key, and it helps us all work on the arts, whether you are the person who can sing or who can act or conduct the group or whatever that is. You're also a person potentially who can finance that piece, who can give out the tickets, who can make all those things happen. And I'm appreciating all of those people in different ways now that we are apart, and then we'll be together again soon. So we're now actually, I've had to, and we all have to do it. We have to look at how far in the future do you have to plan, and know that we might have to move to the finish line and see where that is. But for right now, I'm planning a season that starts with our normal season in the fall. So we would audition in August, and we perform in November would be our first show. And so we're talking to the town now, and I'm just about ready to release this season. I just have to figure out what I want to do in the spring.
I think, Andrew, that's the approach you're taking right now. Andrew Howell, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we have to plan as though everything was going to come back to normal, I think, for next season, and how we're going to come back, as you say, with a bang and, really hit the ground running. And then if we need to change things, we can figure it out as we get there. But for now, it's full steam ahead as far as we're concerned, too.
Andrew, do you find that as you select things to do going forwards, do you sort of feel that I'm feeling this horrible weight right now, which is good, but I feel this pressure to try to pick the right things that are about everything, about what brings the community back together, what gets everyone excited to be here, what gives the right message, that piece is so hard as we're trying to sort of accomplish everything. And what is that like for you?
I have constant angst about picking the deepest thing, the most perfect thing. How do you come back from this and find as much meaning as possible, which is really impossible to do. We're going to have to move forward and continue with, whatever we can. But as much meaning as we can get out of those, I think we'll just find, a lot of the art just coming together to do it is going to bring that meaning back for us, and bringing it to the public when we're finally able to actually perform for our audiences, I think will be impactful no matter what. So I keep having to convince myself that I don't have to find the perfect repertoire for it, but maybe approach it in a certain way.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Is that piece of, because no matter what you do, and this is true even in a season that isn't like this, no matter what you do, you can't make everyone super happy with the choices that you make. We all do the best that we can.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I know I'm going to state it as fact for all of our listeners out there. You can't always make everybody happy with the choices you make in the best intentions. However, we do the best that we can.
True.
And we pick the repertoire that we pick. And I think that you're right. I think it is about how you approach it. And at the end of the day, it will be, for me, it will be one show. For you, it will be one concert that starts that ball rolling. And then we will be the people that we've always been, only, hopefully better for learning what we've learned through this. And that will inform the next thing we do and the next thing we do. And we hope they keep coming back. And it is the best we can do.
Yeah.
There was a great line, Andrews and everyone, in the because I love to bring it to baseball or Star Trek. So let's go Star Trek. In the Star Trek Picard series, where the character of Raffi tells Patrick Stewart's character, Jean-Luc Picard, one impossible thing at a time. And I've used that as like my mantra all year long, which is one impossible thing at a time. If we try to plan a season or a concert which is, dealing with all of these things all at once, we can't do it. To me, the first impossible thing is it's going to happen actually here next week. Get people back in this building to make music for the first time. That's a possible thing, number one. So next week, if for all of you out there in the public, we are starting to have very limited in-person rehearsals with our kids and teens upstairs in the hall. That's, that felt impossible 6 months ago. It felt impossible. We knew it would always happen, and now it's a matter of, okay, we'll do this. And the staff is starting to be back. And, most of our staff has been vaccinated and things like that, which seemed, all of these things seemed impossible. But if we try to look at it, this is all of it together. That's when I realize I'm doing that. That's when I almost start to break down on my own, which is like, we're not going to do this. But then it's like, okay, no, each thing we're doing right now feels impossible, but it's not. We'll tackle it one at a time, and we'll get back. But every arts organization is really coming back as like a startup again. Yeah. So we also have this unique opportunity to have sort of a blank slate where the first concert back might not be what you remember of the Chorus of Westerly in its traditional sense, but it might be, again, this reason for innovation or change to evolve with where we are. That could open up the doors to things that we don't know. These things are all terribly optimistic and positive. And for all of these moments of feeling great like that, I don't know how the rest of you feel. I have the opposite days too, where it's like, these impossible things are too much, and I don't know how we're going to get through it. And
probably more of those.
Yeah, I think you have to understand. I think I don't know if there's necessarily more of those. Those just sort of hurt more, right? They hurt, and it's like when someone, we're all involved with things where we get criticized in a lot of fashions. You might have 9 out of 10 audience members who love it, 9 out of 10 students who love what you do, or parents or whatever. And that's that one negative thing that sticks in your brain, and you cycle, like, how do you fix it?
And there's only so much you can do, right? I mean, I think the very interesting thing is that you talk about this blank slate, and I think everybody has to admit at the end of the day that all of us, at whatever ratio, are excited about change and terrified of change. And some people way more terrified, and some people way more excited. But I think for everybody, it's easier to accept change when change comes after something that was unavoidable. When you're already changed because the chorus had to shut down, and I had to shut down my theater, and the world has had to change, and we have to wear masks, whatever that piece is. I think it's easier to then step back into something that you've had to retool that makes sense, not for the sake of change, but because it was necessary. I think that is the time that all of us can find a way to embrace the parts of it that make sense, and be accepting of the parts that to us don't, but to somebody else might. And that those of us that have to innovate to be able to make things continue can only press ahead in that way. And especially working in the arts, every single one of us that works in the arts is in the arts because we care about the things that we do, and that tends to make us more sensitive, whether or not we choose to show that. And because of that, we care more deeply, well, not more deeply, but we care deeply about the choices that we make and how it's perceived, and whether or not it's serving all the people we try to. So yeah, you're 100% right. I think it stings me, and it stings you, and it stings Andrew and Amy and Michael and everybody that I know more when that one person isn't satisfied and the 9 people are. And it's not that you're not thankful for the 9 people that are happy,
right,
but that one person, you really want to just be able to say to them, hey, look, I did what I did because I hoped that you would enjoy it. And I'm so sorry that you didn't. And I wish that there was a way for you to believe that it wasn't, purposeful in that way. And I hope that you love the next thing, and good luck to you. What else are you going to do?
It is exciting stuff. Going back, just by the way, to the very beginning of your conversation when you're talking about Littleton, and I was thinking about the growth of Littleton, and we've all enjoyed Schilling's and there are a lot of fine establishments up and down the river now. And I was thinking back to the days, maybe, 20, 25 years ago, where sort of the highlight in downtown was you got to go to Burger King or Pizza Hut. Look, hey, I love me a good Whopper, and the pan pizzas are great. Is Pizza Hut still there, by the way?
Pizza Hut has closed during the pandemic, and they've closed permanently. Like, the grass has grown, they've taken the sign down.
I knew the Hut was suffering a little bit there, but
it's time. No, it's true. Although, and I mean, I'm not making any promises because this isn't my department, but I hear there's talk of a Starbucks. So I mean, talk about growth in New Hampshire, right? Exactly. Wow. Exactly. That's nuts. And the Schilling's is great right on the water. One of the sites that we're looking at actually to place the theater is on the water. And so
on a barge.
That'd be amazing. Our architect, I don't know if this piece will ever happen or if it'll fit into the budget, but one of the things we're looking at right now is that the secondary performance space opens up to the water. And we're looking at this idea that's having this really retractable wall that would allow us to have seating or the actors be out on this lawn space that then literally topples off to the river.
Wow.
So if that ends up being the spot that we choose of the sites that we're looking at, really trying to bring in the nature where we are and appreciate it for what it is and all of those elements.
You could get Amy doing tightrope walking over the river. She's always dreamt of that, I think.
Amy and I have several choreographed numbers that we have performed at certain times that we will
Will
potentially.
you be, well, if Amy's doing the tightrope walking, will you be doing the ribbon dance that goes along with it there?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be me leading with 2 ribbons, but Andrew and Michael following behind me, each with 1 ribbon of different colors. I already have one.
I think Darren Wood has been choreographing your ribbon dance for a very long time.
Rabboni, which means teacher.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Wow. So, so Andrew, again, if folks want to get involved with your classes right now or learn more about it, is it all this information on your website, social media? Where can
Yes, UpStagePlayersNH.org has information of what we're doing in terms of classes right now, and we're just getting close to the point where we're going to release information about it next season. So that piece is a little mysterious on our website right now, but it should be coming in the next couple of weeks.
6 different versions of Cats.
No. I am looking
Gold.
at musical season, so I'm looking at a couple of different things. It's it's hard. It's hard to pick things that make sense during this time, and it's also because part of what we have to think of is thank you so much, Ben. Part of what we have to think of is people's comfortability and being able to come back and make sense in a space, and it's all those factors. But we're looking at a musical for the fall that will bring people together and remember what it is like to be family and to have traditions and to sing and dance and appreciate the things that make us excited and sometimes make us tearful. It is a not to be missed situation. That's all I'm going to hint about.
Oh, wow. This is quite a tease. All right, I'm going to put Amy and Andrew Howell on the spot here because Michael and I have terrible memories for this. You both have, Andrew's shows and you've been in some of the shows along with him. What is it doesn't have to be your absolute favorite, but do you have a particular memory or fun thing in your mind when you think of Andrew Lidestri in theater, either at Westerly or URI or any place like that?
The only thing that really sticks in my mind is some really amazing costumes at 12th Night and you being like a monkey man or something. many roles like that.
Yeah.
Usually over the top.
Yeah, besides the walls of Mahabala, I would say when you were the Cowardly Lion in the Wiz at URI.
Oh, that was really good. I remember that.
That was a really fun role. I had the Cowardly Lion in the Wiz was the first role that I did that was sort of like it bled into all the things that I was doing. I just, it's fun to just be able to, and in so many 12th nights, I was able to just play like a crazy animal or beast or something where you can just totally release and relax and not have to worry about what it's like to be a human. And I used to sit in classes, in acting classes and voice and movement classes during the day. And, we would rehearse the show, whatever the main stage show was at night. So while we were working on The Wiz, I would constantly reach for my tail in class and be embarrassed if somebody saw me reaching for the tail that I didn't have because it was in class. It wasn't in a musical. And I would love to remember the wonderful monkey. I think I was playing Hanuman, the monkey god in 12th Night that year. And all I can remember is that they had my first entrance up in the chorus. So I was crouched in next to Deb Dunham. And I had to do this thing where I sort of stood up and I did the speech. I lifted one leg way up like this on the side. And every night she was like, your diaper. It was just me naked in a gold diaper. And poor Deb Dunham stop it.
I'd have to say,
that 12th night.
I'd have to say when you did On Golden Pond in grad school.
Oh, that never happened.
I like the falafel place at URI, and then we sometimes go for pizza or Italian after. Right? They had the chicken parm sandwich.
Yeah.
Oh,
I missed the aquarium at URI.
Were you in Fiddler on the Roof?
I was not.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were so good at that too.
That's a great show. That was a really interesting time we spent a lot of time researching that show and dealing with it. That is one of those shows that feels like, hey, it's a fun family time and everybody should come and enjoy. And then you really delve into it and you're like, oh, this is about persecution of a race and a terrible exodus from life. So yeah, but it's a really good show, and I think it brings people together in an interesting way.
Okay, and before we move on, what role did you have in Assassins? Because we've been having this conversation in the chat earlier there.
You notice, I played the proprietor in Assassins, so I actually played several people. I was President Ford. I was the guy who sells everybody their guns and convinces them to go off and shoot presidents. So I'm sort of the ringleader of how everything works, which is a lot of fun. And it was the first show actually that I did that, which was such a complicated opening number where it was the first thing that I had to do where I think in that number I gave out 8 guns. And it was one of those things of like, this gun is hidden here and that one's hidden there. And on this beat, you take this and move that and grab the money and move it here and do that. So it was just insane. And I also did that show understudying 4 of the people who actually shot presidents. And so it was the first time that I had to sort of learn so many roles at the same time. So I did a lot of singing and dancing and walking through that stage when nobody was around, because I had to, not ever in performance, thank God, but in 2 different rehearsals, I had to be able to step in and play other people, which was interesting.
That probably helps down the line with directing, I would imagine.
I am amazed how much that sort of thing has helped me. I think my actors would be very thankful for that in the way that I think, in the way that they think more often. I've worked with directors who have never had experience as an actor or don't want to sort of imagine that part, that just isn't them, and that's fine. But there's a language barrier when it comes to sort of the things that you have to process as an actor and make sense of and figure out how to portray. So that has been super useful to me, and I've been really thankful for it.
Do you think, based on the acting you've seen me do in 12 Nights Past, that I'm ready to direct?
I would say that based on the acting I've seen you do in 12 Nights Past, maybe you should only direct.
Ben, we'll cut all this out, Ben.
I was going to think a choreographer. Again, getting back to Le Ribbon, you know,
I promise I could put you in a ribbon dance that would be a showstopper.
On Golden Pond?
It would be on Golden Pond, and it would be, let's just say it would probably just be a ribbon, but a really long, wide ribbon.
Wow. Well, that's just a scene that it's just going to haunt my drive home. But that works okay. That works okay. Well, thank you for sharing all of this stuff with us, Andrew. And
thank you so much.
Really wanted to make sure you got a good plug on here, too. We've been talking to all these other folks running theaters and doing everything else like that. And the UpStage stuff, really, if you're up in Littleton, which is the Glad Town now, not a notch above anymore, right? The Glad Town.
Yeah, the Glad Town.
You know, let Andrew know to reach out to him. He'll give you the walking tour.
Oh yes, please.
This is Haruman, the monkey god, and Michael will be behind with the ribbon, and
Amy will be walking over the river on a tightrope.
Yep, and Andrew and I will be at Schilling's having the Schlaumeyer beer.
Then we'll
never seem to make when we're there.
It'll be a good time.
Okay. Well, since we are all so for today's little activity before we go. So I was baited on the internet, and I didn't take the bait because my friend Michael here on the first day of spring posted a clip of Bernstein conducting the Spring Symphony.
So good.
And there was a discussion that ensued without me actually participating of my dislike of the Spring Symphony, which it's a dislike of the Spring Symphony. It's not a loathing. But some people, you know, were putting some words into my mouth on there. I thought, okay, how can I spin this into a talk show format? So I decided to see what my friends here, what pieces of music that they really loved and what pieces of music they're like, meh, I can never live it out. So today we're going to play a game called Awesome or Blah. Cue it up, Ben. Okay, this is how it's going to work. We are going to each one of our 4 here besides me. Actually, I have 2 as well. We have an awesome or a blah, and so we're gonna put your awesome on the screen. Ben, can we put their awesome on the screen? Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. If we can't, you're gonna say what he says. Yes. Okay. So Ben, we're gonna start with Andrew Lidestri. You're gonna put your awesome on there, and then you're gonna say why you like it, and then we're gonna agree with you or not, and you can fight it with us, and then we're gonna do your blah.
Ready to fight.
Okay, Andrew Lidestri, what is your awesome piece?
Am I saying it or is it on the screen?
Yes, there it is. Read it.
The Bach Cantata 50, and this is why. Okay, so as a super a little kid. I'm assuming I was like 11 when we did this. I don't really remember. And but it was the first piece of music where in like a 5 minute or less than 4 minutes, if you're doing it really fast and good, it is this fantastic preview to what fugue and counterpoint is as a little kid in this like boisterous, powerful, loud way. And it was also the very first time that I experienced what it was like for two choruses to be singing at each other at the same time, back and forth, in this like compact, mind-blowing, always upbeat, want to sing it 600 times, and definitely play it on repeat sometimes on my Alexa sort of experience.
Does anyone disagree with him?
No.
Not at all. Great piece.
It's also like 4 minutes long, so it's the perfect Bach cantata. He's like, I cut out all the fluff. Here you go. This is only 30 minutes.
What's the downside to that concert though? Is you weren't there, Saunders. We missed.
That
you.
is true.
Yeah.
Wow, was that while you were in Germany?
That is true. Yep, I was there. I was looking for Bach's bones. No. All right. What, Andrew Lidestri, what is the piece that is blah?
I disagree.
I don't even, here's the deal. This is why it's so blah. I couldn't even remember its name and had to ask Ryan. And thinking of the blah was so hard because it's the stuff that's obviously not in my playlist that I don't listen to. And I remember standing on those risers and feel like I was suffering through it and dying for it to end. I can't even tell you any more about it than that, except I was hoping that it would stop.
That's the A to Z one, right? Every little verse started with a different letter of the alphabet.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
No.
I mean, can't you pick that up when you listen to the recording? I listened to it.
Give it another try, Andrew.
It's also short.
I'll listen to it again.
No, not you.
So it's Hindemith Apa Rebi Repetina Diaz. All right, we're going to go to Amy. Amy, what is your awesome sauce piece? Oh.
It's the Dvorak Stabat Mater because it is.
Yep.
It occurred at like, I sang it when I was a little tiny kid. And then I sang it again when I was in my late 20s. I don't know, one of those adult ages. And then we just sang it recently in 2014 on tour, which was just incredible. So it's an incredible piece on its own, but it's also some very, very wonderful memories.
Yeah.
The only drawback of that piece is the first movement, which I think is too long. And I'll tell you why. Because if you're running a house and you're a house manager and you've got people waiting out in the lobby for 22 minutes, you get really ticked off.
They shouldn't have been late.
They shouldn't have been late. And I do curtain speeches that are long intentionally, audience, because I watch the lobby to make sure we get people in.
That's why they're so long.
Like, if you ever want to know why when I wrap it up, it's when I usually look back and I see that the lobby is clear. Because we, without fail, always have 15 or 20 people, and it's because the parking here is so difficult, who get stuck in the back, and we got to work things out. So I will keep my eye on the lobby, and when I see that it's clear, I will wrap it up. I mean, honest to God, and this is just early, my very first concert, which was the Mozart C minor mass. I didn't do that. And after the Kyrie, there must have been 50 people who came in, and it wasn't good. So I was like, I got to figure out a way to get these people in. So I just rambled at the beginning of the concert. Whatever. It's the only time they can't go anywhere. All right, Amy's blah.
Yeah, it's the Gounod Messe Solennelle de Saint-Cécile.
And
and my backup was the Beethoven Mass in C. If someone hadn't picked the Gounod, but it looks like
are off the show.
Well, someone else picked the Gounod. So someone else picked the Gounod, so we can discuss the Gounod right now first.
Okay.
Oh my God, the music in that piece is so good.
Which one are we talking about?
The Gounod.
Gounod.
Oh yeah, it's just kind of meh.
No, it's like there are a few beautiful moments and it never lives up to potential. It doesn't actually do anything or go anywhere. It was also my blah.
I better go back and listen to it because the only thing I will agree with you about is just a few beautiful moments that I'm thinking up in my head right now wanting to defend this piece. So now I feel like I have to go back if there's more than that.
You have to stand on the risers a long time for those few moments.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a nice little background, like you in the old days, like if you were in Tower Records and you were flipping through and it was in the speaker, it's kind of pleasant. But your other blah was the Mass in C major by Beethoven.
Wrong.
Unacceptable.
Sounds like, oh man, why is that your blah?
It's just, well, because you didn't ask me for a piece that I like loathe. You asked for like a blah. I just don't have like, it's just like, it's fine. Sure. Beethoven.
MVD.
Look at Andrew's face.
It's also, I will admit, it's kind of fun to be blah about Beethoven because it makes people do this.
It's not that. I thought it was a good choice for the tour in 95, right?
Yes.
Because there were so many wonderful movements that had so much energy, and I never got sick of singing it. I often felt sick of singing the Alto Rhapsody that we had to do in between that, Sing Unto God. But the Beethoven, wow. I'm just surprised.
I don't know, maybe the tenors have more to do. I don't know.
Tenors are lucky that way sometimes, and we had some really wonderful feature moments in that piece.
The tenors do get to do well in that piece. In fact, twice in my music I have tenor heaven written in there, and then one point it says tenor heaven, if there is such a place. Is something Bunky I think said to Bob Anthony, which was pretty
But it's different on a tour like that. I mean, does anybody else on the screen feel like if we were going to sing that piece tomorrow, you could pretty much do it no problem, and maybe without the music? Because I feel like I could.
I could. Yeah.
We do it for the next hour.
We can. That's right. All right, let's go to Andrew. Let's go to Andrew Howells. His awesome sauce piece.
So I've always loved the Dixie Dominos.
That's a good winner right there.
Handel wrote it when he was only 22, so it's just like wild and crazy and so much fun. But also the De Torrente movement in that, the soprano duet, is one of my favorite musical moments of all music. It's just so gorgeous. And it was funny because I planned at some point to do that for my graduate conducting recital. I ended up doing a bunch of other things, but partly because Bunky decided to do it that same year with the chorus, and they had never done it before. And I remember him commenting something afterwards, like, he waited 45 years or however many years it was to do that piece, and maybe he should have waited a few more. It's very, very difficult. It's an amazing piece. It's just insane.
I'm so excited that you put that as your favorite, because I don't know, in the back of my mind somewhere, I thought I remembered you saying that it was a piece that you were either like put off by or didn't want to tackle or whatever the piece was. I love it so much. And it's just the way that he uses the chorus, like there's string instruments.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah. Doing the rest of his music, or at least not nearly to that extent, that is so fun and makes you feel bouncy. Oh,
yeah.
So,
I'll have to listen to the recording, because that CD, that concert in my memory, because I went to that. I mean, we rehearsed it at camp, but that concert in my memory was, I don't remember it being one where I was like, I remember it being like, maybe I just liked the piece of music, and sometimes, when you're singing along in your head, you're not hearing anyway. What's Andrew's blah? Oh, we already talked about his blah. It was the Saint Cecilia. So
yeah.
Great lines.
There you go. Great minds. All right. Michael. Let's do Michael next here. All right. Michael's awesome is Belshazzar's Feast, which was my awesome too. So that's
we're both awesome. Now, if you can't listen to that piece and not end with a giant smile on your face, it's just so good. I think the Praise-y movement, where it just goes through all the instruments, it's just so over the top and brassy and good. So good.
That piece is amazing. Now, what I don't have in my memory, it was fun to sing and it was awesome and we loved to do it. And we were trying to entice David Hill because the Bach, if you remember this, last year, the Bach choir was here in the US, and COVID swept through the Bach choir. They were on tour with Belshazzar's Feast.
Mm-hmm.
And
really in the country, but then never got to perform it.
Yeah, never got to perform it. We were going to go see him. A bunch of you were going to Yale to see him. I was going to go see him at Symphony Hall. And I was desperately trying to talk him into stopping here and doing it here at the hall. And David just couldn't get over in his mind how big one the orchestra was going to be, but how it would be too much sound in the hall. And that's what I don't have a memory of. Was it super loud in the hall when we did that? It must have been super loud.
Probably.
I'm sure it was. I just loved it. I mean, I don't. But it's what his music is like. I mean, I feel the same way about the Christopher Columbus Suite. I mean, did we all sing the Christopher Columbus Suite? Because that was amazing as well. And I mean,
the Spring Symphony. Saying. All right, what are we at? Michael's blah.
Ooh.
I know. Controversial. I never got it.
I can
It's,
see that. I mean, they're fun, but meh.
Yeah.
I feel like you've got to be a person who really loves a cappella music, and I could listen to pentatonics for hours and hours. And I think that if you like sort of that like boop boop bop in between things, or things get where you're letting choristers be those different instruments, then I think you can love everything about that. And if not, I think it would be easier.
I enjoy that. I just think that the birthday madrigals for me are too boopy and too boppy.
Too boopy and boppy.
Yeah.
Common words in the
That's possible.
You should send that to Rudder, or next time you talk to him on one of like the David Hill things, just be like, I think it was a little too boopy and boppy here.
I'll probably keep my mouth shut.
You want a boopity boppity and a boopity boppity.
I will give you $100 if you do that. I'm saying that live right now to everybody.
If you say that it's too boop, whatever is it?
Yeah, he has to say to John Rudder that is too boopy and boppy for him.
No, I would phrase like, where do you get your boopity and boppities from?
He's on Twitter all the time. You could tweet it at him. I'm sure. Or have David. David,
we probably won't do that.
No, probably not. All right. Well, my favorite was Belshazzar's Feast too, and then my blah was. Do you have my blah?
Oh no, it's so good, dude. You're wrong again.
Oh, I can't stand Duraflay stuff. It's
wow.
Oh, it's just like soupy cheese. I mean, just and to be honest with you, it's fresh in my mind because I listened to the Duraflay Requiem on the way home last night to see, because I let the chorus hear some old recordings and stuff, and I listened to Duraflay on the way home, and then I just kept going skip, and then I thought maybe it's not to pick on our beloved chorus, but I thought maybe it was the chorus. So I have a different recording on my phone. I listened to that and I was like, skip. So then I was like, fine, I'll go away from the Requiem. Let me go to something else here. He's got other things. And I couldn't make it more than like 2 minutes before I was not thinking my finger was, and that to me was like, Duraflay and I are friends. We also did Duraflay. We did the Duraflay Requiem with Toward the Unknown Region back in my first season. And Toward the Unknown Region is a magnificent piece. But maybe, I don't know, it didn't click for me as much. And the audience responded fine, and the chorus liked it, and Bunky enjoyed it. But it was just one of those concerts like, and maybe I've been here long enough now that I'm filing them away differently, but it was like, all right, we're done. Hopefully we don't have to see Duraflay again for a while.
I thought his Mes Cum Jubilo, the men's one, that one's pretty blah. I'm not a fan of that one.
I feel about Duraflay the same way that some of you do about the Gounod, where I think like it had a couple of great moments. Those were them. I mean,
his little Ubi Caritas there, we all know and love, and it's lovely. So, come on, he just ripped off the chant, put some chords around it. I'm totally
let's circle back to the thing.
That's blasphemous. But the rest of it, I agree.
Please don't email me. Email it to complaints@chorusofwesterly.org.
Oh my God, is that really an email address?
No, but Ben put it on the screen a couple of weeks ago when we had things to complain about. There you go. I'm not ready to 12 plan immediately. Facial hair.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, there's the address right there. Yep, there's the address right there. Complaints@chorusofwesterly.org. You'll get a response in the next 15 to 22 years.
I think you need to follow my message an actual account, because come on, that could be comical as all.
Probably could. All right, friends. Well, thank you, Ben. That's been awesome or blah. Which I think we can safely say the first half of the show was awesome. The second half,
blah.
I think maybe we should have done our blah pieces and then our awesome pieces, so we didn't end on, and this is why we don't like Duraflay.
Okay.
We've got another hour, don't we?
For the people who watch this show, I think that's a fine way to end.
I think that's a fine way, because I wanted to for this. I mean, we're time's almost up here, but I thought about this. It's like, look, a lot of people who watch this, and if they made it all the way to the hour, God bless them. But they're I'm sure they're at home having this conversation too. And in fact, what else can we discuss and without it being Pam's birthday? Because today is Pam's birthday again.
Oh.
Happy birthday. Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome, right there.
That was amazing.
Unfortunately, Pam waved when she left in the middle of this. I think she knew we were getting close to bringing in Pam, so my guest chair will remain empty, but we'll get her on here to play this. Whew. All right, friends. Well, it's been great to see you here. We are at the end of March. The sun is coming out more. It's getting warmer. People are getting vaccines. Please keep wearing your mask, though. Keep protecting yourself. Stay safe out there. Amy, Andrew, Michael, Andrew, lovely mask there. Thank you so much. To all of you out there watching, keep staying tuned. We got some great features coming up. We have a lecture coming up soon with George Kent on Beethoven's Fifth Symphony and the expansive choral part. Kidding, there's no choral part in the Fifth Symphony. Unless Tafone can write us a choral part arrangement. So, John, please get to work on that. Anyway, on behalf of my dear friends, Amy Blanchett, Andrew Howell, Andrew Uncle Bongo Lidestri, and Michael J. Freitas, thank you for tuning in to the Community Chorus Show. We'll see you next time. Good night.
Bye.